Happy New Year, everyone. You're welcome to the year 2023. This is going to be a glorious year, a wonderful year, blessed year, and favored year for us in the mighty name of Jesus. You're welcome back to TBL Couture channel. Thank God we all made it into the new year. So, this is going to be my very first video for this year. And in today's video, I'm going to be showing us how to make this palazzo trouser with the shirt, just like you're seeing in the sketch, and that was what actually happened with the picture of the outfit after I was done with the sewing also. So without further ado, let's get into the video. The very first thing I did before manipulating my pattern was to visualize how the two-piece suit, which is the palazzo and its shirt, is going to be like by illustrating it on a paper. So I did a collar with a shirt and ball sleeve with a band and a palazzo trouser itself. I did this because I don't want to be guessing. When I have a picture of what I want to do, it makes my work easier and faster. I'm going to be using these 4 yards to create this style. I don't know if it's going to be enough, but I'm going to try to manage what I have. Then the next thing I did was to transfer my working pattern into another pattern paper. That is my primary pattern. I transferred it, the basic trouser. I transferred the basic trouser block, the front one, into another set of new pattern paper. I also transferred the back basic trouser block into another set of paper so that I can keep my original pattern paper. And if you've not watched my video on how to draft the basic trouser block, I'm going to leave it in the description below. Then the next thing I did was also to transfer the basic bodice into a working pattern. I also have a video on how to draft the basic bodies on my channel, which I'm going to be leaving the link in the description below. The first thing I'm going to be working on is the front basic trouser. What I'm going to be doing first is to label my trouser block. I have the waist, I have the hip, I have the crotch, and I have the knee and the hem line. I'm going to be working on the hip. I'm going to take my hip measurement to my hem line. That is the first thing I'm going to be doing. I'll be taking what I have on the hip, like the way I'm just using my tape rule to get what I have. I'm going to be taking this to the hemline. But before doing that, I will divide what I have at the hemline divided by 2. I'm going to divide it by 2. So whatever I have divided by 2. Then what I have at the hip also, I'm going to divide it by 2. Let's say for instance I have like maybe 25. That means it's going to be like 12.5 centimeters. So I'm going to place the 12.5 centimeters at one side of the hem line like so, and I'm going to mark it. I'm just using the 12.5 centimeter as an example. So I'm going to mark the other 12.5 centimeter at the side so that I can have an even line. So after this, I'm going to connect the line back to the hip, the side front back to the hip, and the center front back to the crotch like so. And finally, I'm going to connect the hem line together. That is just what I did for this trouser to make it a palazzo trouser. You can use your knee measurement, you can use your hip measurement, you can use your crotch measurement, or you can just create something bigger than your hip, your crotch, to get your palazzo at the hemline. So I'm thinking if I should come down at the crotch line by some centimeters, like maybe 1.5 or 2 centimeters, just checking. But at the end of the day, I eventually decided to go with what I have at the crotch line like so. If you are not too comfortable with what you have, if you think it's going to be too tight, you can just come down maybe by 2 centimeters at the crotch line. Then I connected my crotch line. And the next thing I'm going to be doing is to eliminate my waist dart, because I don't want to hold any dart at the waist. I just want it to be free, just like so. So I'm going to measure what I have, and I'm going to measure what I have at the waist also just cross checking if there is excess at the waist. Then what I'm going to be doing is to take what I have to that particular side, that is my side front, eliminate it, use my hip curve to connect from the line I just connected from the hip to the waist and connect my new waistline together. What I'm going to do now is to wipe off or to cancel off my darts. So I don't have any darts at the waist again. This is what I have for the front palazzo trouser. Then the next thing I'm going to do now is to remove my band from this trouser. So I'm going to be doing 4 centimeters. You can do 5 centimeters, you can do 2.5 centimeters, but for me, I'm going to be marking 4 centimeters for my band length, and the width of my band is going to be what I have at the waist for the front and what I'm going to be having at the waist for the back. So from the band, below the band line, if you want to do your pockets, you can just come in like so. I'm just illustrating because I have a basic trouser block, like I said earlier, where I fully showed how you can create your pocket from your basic trouser block. That line over there is going to be your pocket opening. Once I'm done with the manipulation of the front palazzo trouser, what I did next is to add my 1 inch or 2.5 centimeters seam round the body. Let me let you know that what I did on this trouser is the actual measurement of my client. The 1 inch I added or 2.5 centimeters, I'm going to be sewing in half of this and use the other half as is. Let's say I did 1 inch, so a 0.5 inch is going to be my sewing seam, while the remaining 0.5 inch is going to be my ease allowance. I hope you get that. Then the final thing I'm going to do is to add my hem line, which I'm going to be sewing in. I folded the paper, traced the line because I don't want it to be straight. It's going to be a little bit slanted. Then I marked downward 2 inches, which is 5 centimeters, and I connected. So that place is going to be my hem line, which I'm going to be sewing in at the hem. I have basically my front trouser block or my palazzo front trouser block, and I'm going to be moving to the back block. For the back, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to go ahead again to measure what I have at the hip line for the back. I'm not going to be using what I have for the front. I'm going to be using what I have for the back at the hip line for the hemline, because the back is usually a little bit bigger than the front. Just like the way I did the front hemline, I divided what I have for my back hip by 2 and went in to mark what I have at the hem, connected it to the crotch and the hip, reruled my crotch line, deducted my that at the waist, and just went ahead to cancel out the that. What I'm doing now is to mark my waistband, and then I added my ease and my seam allowance, went in also to mark the same measurement I did for the hem at the front to the back. Then with this, I am done with drafting the trouser palazzo trouser block. Onto the shirts. This is what I'm going to be doing for the shirts. I'm cutting off that piece so that I can add it to the front for my placket, for the shirt placket. So the very first thing I did was to go in to measure the length of what I have presently on my pattern paper, and I added like 2 inches, which is 5 centimeters, to the length of the shirt, connected it together like so, taking measurement of what I have at my hip so I can connect it together like so. After connecting this together, I went up by 1 inch, which is 2.5 centimeters at both sides of the basic bodice, the front side and the back side, to get my shirt shape like so. It's not going to be sharp at that edge, so I want it to have a curviness some kind of curviness. That was why I went in by 2.5 centimeters and 1 inch. The next thing I'll be going to be doing is to blend in my back, because normally it's meant to have a zip, but because this is not going to have a zip, it's going to have a placket at the front. So I went in to blend in my back line like so. The next thing I did was, because I wanted ease for the back bodies, I'm going to be cancelling the darts. I'm going to be cancelling the dart for the back bodies because I wanted ease. Then for the front, I'm going to measure what I have for the dart for the front. Take 2 centimeters, not all. In total, I have 4 centimeters for the front dart. So I'm going to eliminate just 2 centimeters from the front dart, cancel it so that I can have ease around the front bodies too. It's not going to be a kind of fitted shirt just like that. So I have my ease ready, and the next thing I'm going to do is to come down at the armhole by 1 centimeter to also give me ease around the armhole area. And I went ahead to connect it back to my armhole line. Once I was done doing all this, what I did next was to use my marker to highlight the part I'm going to be needing. And the next thing I also did was to extend, to create my placket for the front. By creating my placket for the front, I measured 7.5 centimeters. 7.5 centimeters is 3 inches. Is 3 inches. You can do 7.5 centimeters or 7 centimeters. But what I did here was 7.5 centimeters because I'm going to be folding it before sewing it in. What I'm doing now is just trying to shape what I have at the neckline. Then I went in to label my shirt pattern. It is all set and ready for what I want to use it for. This is what you just do, is simple, straight and direct. So the next thing I did is for the sleeve, because I said I wanted a ball sleeve for this shirt. I have a ball sleeve already to M-line, so I'm going to be using this. I have a video on ball sleeve, so I'm going to also be linking it in this video. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is to cut out my pattern paper. Here I have the front shirt. This is the front bodies, the shirt part. This here is the back bodies, and here is the front palazzo trouser. Then this here is the back palazzo trouser. You can see that it is easy to draft, very fast and smooth, just because I already have a basic pattern on ground. So the next thing I'm going to be showing us now is just the cutting process. For the cutting process, I'm going to fold the fabric into two because I want to cut two pieces of the front palazzo trouser, two pieces of the back palazzo trouser also. What I'm doing is pinning it down, and I'm going to add the seam for the waist where I cut off my band. So I'm going to be adding the seam line at the waist side and cut off like so. Now I'm going to go ahead to cut the back also. After cutting the back piece, the next thing I'm going to do is to cut the shirt. I'm going to be cutting two pieces of the front shirt because it's a button up shirt, so I need two pieces, two separate pieces for the front shirt. And I will go in to add my seam allowance round the bodies before cutting. For the back, I'm going to be cutting a whole piece, just one. So I'm going to be folding that fabric into two to give me my full back. Also go ahead to add my seam allowance round the bodies and just cut off the back like so. So here I'm done cutting everything: the back trouser, the front trouser, front shirt, the back shirt, then my sleeve. I have my sleeve band, the trouser waistband. The remaining piece is what I'm going to be using for the collar. It's not going to be a double collar, it's going to be just one single collar stand. This is all that I have for this video. I'm not going to be showing us the sewing process. This is the finished work, and this is how it's sitting pretty on our body. You can see the shirt is not totally fitted, and the palazzo trouser, I love the fact that it came out very beautifully and nice. this is just how to draft your palazzo trouser and your shirts. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe, like, leave your thoughts in the comment section. Till next time, bye bye.